Hey, it's time at Dish with D. That's me. Thank you for going this video, making yourself a priority. I am Denise. It is Wednesday, and we brought back by popular demand the Wednesday Wisdom for Weight Loss. There's a lot of questions sitting here. I see 16 on the thing. I haven't looked at any of them. I kind of like answering them off the cuff. I feel that's a more honest answer than, an answer that I think you might want to hear, or, the politically correct answer. I'm going to give you the answer that I truly, because first thing that comes to my head gets answered here. So it's going to be interesting. But I do that every week. I don't know if you'd ever realize that. Sometimes it's like, maybe later I would be like, well, maybe I should have said that. But you know what? I give you right what I emotionally think. Emotionally. Oh my goodness. We are filming our day in the life today as well. So I'm up early. I'm going to get this video up and then get the rest of the day. We have to have breakfast. Breakfast is going to be hard for me. I don't know what I feel like today. I think I might have a yogurt parfait or a yogurt sundae. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Let's get to these questions. I didn't bring my water down. Hope I don't talk too much. Do you ever get days that you're super hungry all day with no apparent reason? If so, what do you do? Yeah. Sunday or Monday, or is it both? Yeah, I do get those days. And it doesn't happen all the time, which is weird because it's crazy when it does. It's like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? Because I try to eat 0 points vegetables, pre-packaged things, so I can't eat too much. If I went to a bag of, say, the puff corn, a big bag, yeah, it wouldn't end well. So I try to eat veggies, dip, salad. I know it's like cliche. Sometimes I just grab what I really, really want. Sometimes like a protein bar helps with chocolate. Sometimes I just need to get out. Sometimes to get out, take a walk, put something on Netflix, get my mind occupied, because I need to get my head out of that. Because that's the thing, like once you get into that mindset of I want something to eat, I need something to eat, and you keep feeding what you want, you're going to keep wanting more. So sometimes I try to just kind of get away. That does help. Maybe drinking a special beverage. Like I have flavored seltzer waters. I have Diet Cola. Like things like that I feel are a little bit indulgent, even though they're not. But they feel special because I don't have them all the time. So when you have something like that, that helps. Make a smoothie. It's blended fruit. I don't sit there and, oh my gosh, you have to count blended fruit. Yeah, I know. But then that's still a better option than it could be. I mean, you put a banana, you put some protein, you put some almond milk. It's a nice little filling thing. So maybe having a little protein drink. Like sometimes I keep those Premiers, the chocolate peanut butter are the ones I keep for drinking. And sometimes I'll have one. I keep one in the fridge usually, so it's ready to go when I want to drink it. So sometimes I drink that, and sometimes it does satiate me, but sometimes I just need to occupy myself. Sometimes I go live at a weird time. If you ever see like, oh my God, Denise is live. Why? That's probably why. She goes live or she eats. So, and sometimes she's not eating the right things. That's, and I said, there is no rhyme or reason. Nope. How do I stick to my diet with my hub eating anything he wants? I should know this by now, but it's a struggle because it's hard having the things in that trigger us, and that's a problem. I do say maybe put his things away so you don't see them. And we've talked about that in the last few videos about setting up a safe space. So if you see them day in and day out, it wanes on your mind. You might not realize it, but you're sitting there thinking about whatever those things in that he really likes, and they're triggering to you. They have to understand that food is triggering to me. And I've had to sit them down in the family and explain to them that I don't have self-control. As much as you think I should have self-control, I don't have self-control. So you need to understand that you need to hide your stuff. I'm not telling you not to have your stuff. I'm just telling you to put it somewhere else. I don't need to see it every day. You can't not have it in because they need to have their stuff as well. Like maybe make him a man cave and have a Rubbermaid container of all his favorite things. That it's not in your face. Your stuff needs to be front and center in your life. And his things need to be hidden in the back of a closet somewhere. That's the best advice I can give, because you can't tell him, no, you can't have that. That's not fair. We're the one with the problem. Nobody else should have to suffer because we have no self-control. It's just learning that, if you don't see it, out of sight, out of mind, usually. It helps. It helps. I don't know what macros are. Is it like calories, but the health? Okay. Calories are what food is made of. Food is not made of calories. Calories is a measurement of food. Food is made up of a lot of things, but the main things that we look at are fat, protein, carbohydrates, and even fiber. They're the big things that we should be eating foods high in protein, high in fiber, low in fats, low in sugar. Carbs, carbs are carbs, and carbs are good. Carbs are helpful. Carbs give us energy. Carbs are not the enemy. But should we, at least for me, at my age, carbs do not digest as well as they used to. I think because I'm getting older, my pancreas is, getting older. It's like you see people who turn diabetic and they're like, well, she eats good, and your body gets old. That's bait in a nutshell. So most people, they want to have a diet that is high in protein, low in fats, decent in carbs. I don't want to say low, but I want to say lower in carbs. We'll say it like that. And low in fat, high in fiber. And fiber is one of those things that it's just, you have to get the right foods to get the fiber in. But you're really more looking at fat, protein, and carbohydrates. They're the big ones. So people who tend to follow a low carb diet, and I mean low carb, tend to lose weight fast. But is that maintainable? And that's the struggle that a lot of us have. Yeah, we can do that for a while, but can we do that for the rest of our life? And I don't know. A lot of people, you'll see people who've been on keto, do well, go off keto, gain it all back. But the Healthy app has, if you get the professional version, they have a free version, they have a professional version or pro version, and you could have a secondary metric of seeing that on your tracker. You'll see the bites, if whatever plan you choose. I choose Better Balance, so I see my Better Balance bites, and then I see my protein, I see my calories, I see my fat, and I see my carbohydrates. It's just a number to gauge, if you want to eat a little bit better. And foods that are geared to that, you need to keep a goal, and you usually set a goal for that of how many grams you want to have. Mine are set for 90 to 100 grams of protein, 110 grams to 120 of carbohydrates. Fats are around 50, I think. And my calories are 1475. So, and that's something I could see. Weight Watcher points don't tell you any of that. So you just see your points. And I will tell you, I've gone over my points just to meet those goals, which are normal for weight loss for my age, height, weight, gender. So it's interesting. How do you comparing WW points to just counting calories? It's interesting. I don't know if it was always like this, and I just never checked it, but I feel I'm eating more counting calories than I am counting points. And I just don't know if it's the algorithm that's messing with a lot of the foods that I choose to eat. But when you're counting calories, you are a little bit more or less restricted to eat the foods you want. Are they always the best choices? They're not. That's why they're high in points, because they're just not the best choices. But they're the choices that you want. So you want to eat what you want. So to have a little bit more freedom, counting calories helps that. I do feel like, because I have the Healthy app where it does both, in a sense, it's doing an older Weight Watcher plan, but it's less stress on me. I only have to track it once. I don't have to sit there and go to a different app. That to me would have, I had done that when I was doing the Weight Watchers, and I'm like, it's crazy to go back and forth to apps. It makes it more confusing. You can get used to an app unless you totally engage in that app. When you're doing both, you're always going to feel like this one's better because you're doing both. You don't realize the potential of the other app until you just solely do that. So I think it's interesting to try that. I think it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to try something a little bit different. Like I tell people, you can always go back to doing the other thing. You're never stuck anywhere. You always can go back. And I know people that say, I want to quit Weight Watchers. And I say to them, quit. I said, here's the thing. If you want to go back, they'll take you. So it's never, you can always go back to doing, it doesn't hurt to try something new. Because sometimes we're just better when we try something new. We follow it correctly when it's new because it's new. There you go. Light bulb moment. Yeah, because, we follow because it's new. We don't know what we're doing. We haven't gotten like, well, I can't really be loose yet. No, follow every plan the way it's written out, and you should do well. I mean, but like I said, everybody's got their quirks about everything. How to increase vegetables when you hate so many of them, literally. I always say different preparations. I mean, sometimes we're just used to boiling them and that's it. Like sometimes roasting them changes their flavor completely. I used to put them, I used to hide them from my kids. My kids, well, I should say Peter. The other ones were fine. I used to have to I pureed them into sauces so he wouldn't see them. I put zucchini into brownies, which we don't want to have brownies, but yeah, I mean, but I pureed them into sauces was a good, but like I said, roasting, grilling brings out the flavor. Like you'd be surprised how different broccoli tastes when it's roasted versus just steaming it. It kind of has a smell when it's steamed, but when it's roasted, it has a nuttiness and cauliflower and carrots. I make a couple of dips on my channel. One was the Ina Garten. It was an eggplant dip, and it's roasted eggplant with bell peppers, onions, and garlic, and you puree it with tomato paste. My son would scarf that down like, and he didn't realize he was eating eggplant. Or I have one that's a roasted sriracha carrot dip. It's like a carrot hummus. You roast the carrots and onion. I think it was very minimal ingredients, and you blended it with yogurt. Yeah, you could add sriracha. That's what it called for, but if it's too spicy, you don't have to add it, but I liked it. And grind that up into it looked like a hummus. You scarf that down. It's like, you'd be surprised like, when you change the way something looks and the different way you prepare it, how interesting it is. Soups are a great way to get vegetables in because they're in a broth, and the broth is usually, chicken flavored or beef flavored. So sometimes a nice good soup. I love soup. I mean, and you can puree it into like a creamy soup, like pureed vegetables, and then you add a little cream in there, and you might enjoy it. But those are my ways of getting vegetables into my kids. It was always those things. My question is, will I ever be able to obsessing? I think stop obsessing over food. It seems I'm always thinking about my next meal or snack. I'm satisfied with the meals and snacks, but I always have my mind since I'm always tracking and planning. I also weigh myself daily, which is another obsession. I think you're obsessing because you're trying to eat the foods with the minimal amount of points. And how can I get these things? How can I think I obsess about people. Somebody told me about that. You obsess. I'm like, well, because first of all, I have a channel. I have to create. So yeah, when you're a creator, you are obsessing because you have to think of the next video and the next, topic. But even like in the home cook, you think of your next meal and how can I get excited about that? Because, we only have a limited amount of points and calories to eat. We have to maximize every bit of that. So I don't know if obsessing is, I think it's how we live. And I think because we're always, the weighing thing, yeah, I used to be an everyday weigher, but I realized that wasn't healthy for me. So I only went to once a week, and I became better behaved because I knew I didn't know what I weighed. So I have no idea. I couldn't sit there like, I wanted that thing. I'm like, but you don't know what you weigh. You could be up, see, because if I knew if I was down, I would have that treat because, I'm down. I could have a little bit extra. So for me, weighing every day didn't help me. I don't, a lot of people, I feel like, force yourself not to weigh every day and then just see how it goes. It's hard because you don't know. But if you don't know, you're basically a little bit more disciplined. At least I was. But we obsess over food because we want to create really good stuff. And I think we think about it day and night because we can't have it. So at least we have to think about it. If I can't eat it, at least I can think about it. So I feel like that's a trade-off. We're not eating it, but we're thinking about it. There's a process. So I feel like that's normal to be thinking about food because you're not eating it. Because if you weren't thinking about it, you'd be eating it. So I feel like it's okay right now because you're just thinking. I mean, I do all the time. I was in bed this morning thinking of how I was going to have this parfait, and I should have just been relaxing. But it's just like, how can I maximize my flavor and the amount of things I want to spend on breakfast and points and calories. How can I get the best bang out of that? That's just creating. And I think you're just a creative person. And I think that's, it's either think or eat. It's a choice. So I feel like that's not a bad thing. But the everyday weighing thing, I think is a bit, there's no reason to weigh every day. Your body fluctuates every day. Your weight is a variable. It could change from hour to hour. So there's no sense getting in a pickle about that. So but it's hard for me to sit there and say this to somebody who does it. But I know that I used to. So I feel like I can say that because I was that everyday wearer. I get on there, I'm like, what? Or, ooh. And it just never led to anything. Just more mess with my head. Because it doesn't matter what you weigh every day. It only matters what you record on your app. What is your favorite way to enjoy eggs? Favorite way to enjoy eggs? Probably hard-boiled. And that sounds weird, but I love making fun, different hard-boiled eggs. I was on a roll there. I did a series. It's been a while where I did like buffalo eggs. I did bacon, lettuce, and tomato eggs. I think I even did guacamole eggs. It's just fun to get those little eggshells and mash up those yolks and create some fun dip. And try to, again, keep it as a 0-point food and just put some spices and some different sauces and flavorings in there. But yeah, probably hard-boiled. Lately it's hard-boiled because I don't desire eggs. I feel like I've burned out of eggs. Have you ever found that? Being on Weight Watchers and eggs are 0 points. You just feel like you have them often. They're decent in protein. I wouldn't say they're high in protein, but they're decent in protein. I think you have to have 5 eggs. Somebody posted about it, and it was 5 eggs to get 30 grams of protein, which I can get that with. I can get that with my Progrert bowl, but I feel like I'm burning out of eggs. I feel like, and since and eggs, they go from a good food to a bad food to like right now they're a good food, but I guarantee in a few more years we're going to hear bad things about eggs. It just goes back and forth. But yeah, that's probably hard boiled because like I said, I'm kind of burnt out of eggs. But usually if I order them out, it's usually scrambled. Though I've been enjoying a over, like, I don't want to use the word poached, but like an over easy egg that's almost cooked but still slightly runny. I don't like it in theory because I think about it, I'm like, ew, but I like the way it tastes. Don't ask. I don't know. It's just me. I feel like I spend so much time thinking about food, no different than when I was really heavy. Plan. I think like I said, I just talked about this. I think because we don't eat it, we think about it. And we're always trying to come up with that way to get the maximum amount of what we need. How could I eat this with the least amount of points or least amount of calories? How can I get this to where I want it? And that's, I think, and we have to think because it doesn't come easy because we're just trying to maximize our potential for that. So how do I sit there and, I sit there for a lot of times and I'm like, looking at this like recipe and I'm like, well, how can I get that? That's going to be low in points, but still good. Let me swap and it is an obsession. I feel like it's not a bad obsession. I feel like we have to think about ahead. We have to think about what we're going to eat. We're not the luxury of just grabbing something and eating it. We don't have that luxury because it affects us. It doesn't affect everybody, but it affects us. So I feel like we have to slightly obsess about food. And I feel like you have to. There's just no way around it. In order for you to stay on plan, you have to think your next meal. Like I'm already trying to think of dinner and lunch and tomorrow, and because you have to plan the week in a sense. You have to plan it out so you could get the maximum amount of points in with the maximum amount of flavor and taste. It is definitely a game of juggling, but it doesn't get easier. But I don't think there's anything wrong with thinking about food. I feel like thinking about is safer than eating it. I mean, I watch cooking videos on YouTube. I watch the Food Network. And these are foods that I probably shouldn't eat. I enjoy it. I do. And you do get ideas. You do. Does it ever get easier? It does. And I will say this in the nicest way I can, because I feel like some people need to hear this. And I if you stay on plan long enough. A lot of us teeter-totter constantly. We're on for 3 days, we're off for 4. You have to be consistent. And when you're consistent, You have those less days of wanting because you're used to it. But when you flip flop back and forth, it's harder. It's harder to stay on plan when you're not. That's a reality. And I know this because I was a person who took weekends off. I had my binge day, and it made it so much harder to get back on because I've eaten what I wanted all day Saturday because it was my weigh-in day. And I could eat what I want because it doesn't matter. I won't get weighed till another week. Well, that's works on you mentally. You have to, and that's why I say fit in food you like. Fit in a high calorie meal once in a while. Like if you're going out to dinner and you want this steak, get the stinking steak. Don't sit there and get the chicken because it's the lower option. It's zero. No, if you want it, eat what you want. When within reason, within portion size. Like you can't eat a big old Fred Flintstone steak, but you could eat, 4-ounce steak, 5-ounce steak. Get it in that app, track it, move on. There is indulgent meals. There's birthdays that come up. You go out to eat, you get an indulgent meal. And I call it indulgent because it's something that you don't know what's in it. It's not something you would normally get. But yeah, I went out with Timmy. I got a pasta dish one night, and I got that Irish dinner. In the breakdown, it wasn't a bad meal, but it was definitely more indulgent than I usually get. But it's an occasion. Don't beat yourself up for an occasion. Just don't make it a habit. Occasionally we could have things that just cool, but not all the time. But it gets easier the more you do it and the more consistent you are. And don't be on a diet. See, that's another hard thing. I feel like we tell ourselves no for everything, and then we don't realize how that builds up in our head. Like, oh, I will not have potato chips. Nope, I'm not eating potato chips. But why not get a nice pre-portioned bag of potato chips? So you're limiting yourself to what you're having because it's in a bag. You can't get any more because there isn't any more in that bag. And you're feeding the fact that you want a little bit of potato chips. And a little bit of potato chips never hurt anybody. But if you're sitting there restricting everything and then all of a sudden go ape shit on it because you haven't had it in 3 months. Yeah, that's why we call it lifestyle. Baby steps. You might not lose all this weight right away, but you will eventually. And you're just making sustainable changes. You have to get used to eating less. We're used to eating what we want, when we want, and as much as we want. So it takes time to get used to eating less. But you have to keep doing it. You have to be consistent. So that should be everybody's word, is consistency. Not on one day, off one day, on for breakfast and lunch, and then when dinner comes, you have to be some discipline. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's easy, but you need to discipline yourself. You have to. There's just no two ways about that. You have to discipline yourself. But eat food. But like I said, and getting obsessing about foods because we need to create something that's really good. How can I do that? And that's where the obsession comes, because in order for you to hit that note, you have to think about how to get there. People might call it obsession. If you're not obsessing about food, what else is there to think about? Is there something you're not thinking about in your life that, I find food is a great thing to obsess about, and especially making things lighter is a great obsession. So don't ever poo-poo that. But yeah, it gets easier when you do it consistently. True. Do you really think that low carb makes a difference in someone's weight loss? Or is it a number of calories that are important? It has been proven keto, which is low carb, high fat. And most people who are low carb, if you notice, have a higher fat diet. They might not say it, but they're eating cheeses, full fat cheeses. They're eating full fat dairies. That's a keto. They're not eating fruit because fruit is high in sugar and high in carbs. Most people who do keto will only eat berries. They don't eat apples. They don't eat bananas. They don't eat peaches, I don't think. I always see them eat blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. Maybe an occasional strawberry. But it's one of those things that, yes, a low carb diet, you will drop weight. Absolutely. You put your carbs down to 50 a day, you're going to drop weight. It's just how it works. But can you sustain that 50 carbs a day? Because once you go up and go back to eating the regular amount of carbs that you really want to eat, the weight comes back on really fast. You've ever seen people, you should look up keto videos and people who leave keto, and they'll tell you they lost, they couldn't keep up with it. And it sounds great in theory. Oh, I'm going to have meat all the time. I'm going to have bacon. I'm going to have cheese. And it's like, yeah, but you're not having any fruit, not any fruit that I like. not going to have any bread. Bread is life, you know? They don't have many potatoes. They don't have rice. You know, they don't have those things because they can't afford the carbohydrates. They're just too high. So my advice is we should do lower carb, because I think a normal carb per day is close to 250, 300, I think. But if you, like, I try to get around 110, 120, which for me is low carb. It's like if I have a high carb breakfast, like oatmeal, I try to have any carbs at lunch, just in case there's something coming up at dinner that I need to fit a carb in for. But I mean, I see people eating steak with a vegetable, and that's great, but I need a potato in there. I'm sorry, whether it's mashed, baked, or roasted. It's just, it goes so well together. You can have squash. Squash is a nice substitute, but it's squash. And sometimes you just don't feel like squash. Sometimes you feel like a potato. Or I like to have a potato and squash, but that's just me. But it's definitely, the number of calories is important. You have to have, everybody has a calorie goal. Everybody, whether you follow calories or not, calories is a goal. But it's definitely a wise way. Macros, and it can be confusing. I understand that because you're so used to points. And Weight Watchers did that for you. They broke it down saying, hey, this food is low in this, high in that, and this is why it's low in points. And if it's high in this and high in that, it's high in points. So that's why you would say, well, why is something that's 90 calories 6 points and something that's 350 calories is 1 point? Because that's the food they want you to gear towards because of the macros that's in it. It's low in fat, it's high in protein, it's low in sugar. And that's important to them. But it's hard because it limits us to the foods that we really want to eat. We can still eat, it's just you have to keep it in with serving sizes. That's why calories is a little bit more forgiving. That's the word I'm looking for. Forgiving when it comes to stuff like that. So I always say, if you want to count calories and macros, you should just do it. I wouldn't worry about the points do it for 2 weeks and just dive right into it. But do not double track on Weight Watchers because you're going to confuse yourself. Trust me. And then see how you do. See how you feel. See how you do. And see if the scale moves. If you're stuck, if you've been at a plateau for a while and it's just not moving, try something different. I feel Weight Watchers is when I eventually get back to my goal, Weight Watchers is a great maintenance plan. I was great on maintenance. I wasn't looking for maintenance. So I would definitely go back as a maintenance plan because it just was not a good weight loss plan for me at this point in juncture of my life. We'll see. I mean, I have not given up the ship yet, but I feel like I needed something a little bit more different. And it never hurts to try anything. It's confusing. Always, if you have a question, you guys know you could always message me and I could, we'll talk one-on-one. Do you find losing weight easier in the summer, fall, or winter? I find it easier. Well, this is the first summer I've actually lost. I would say probably it's so hot, but I feel like it's whatever motivates you to move more. And that's basically how helps you. And it's, some people feel like it's fall and winter is more comfort food. So, but again, comfort food is not bad if you take a portion. So I feel like I always lost in the fall and winter, strangely enough. Just because I think it was cooler out, I was able to get outside more, do more things. Just weird. I know. You would think summer here, I don't know what it is with me in summer, but but everybody's different. Like for me, it was definitely easier in fall and winter just to get more active. Comfort foods is more soups. I think the more soups you have, I think it's so liquidy. It's one of those good things. Breakfast ideas for type 2 diabetics. I am all out of breakfast ideas. I'm tired of alternating between eggs one day and cottage cheese the next. What if we amp up your cottage cheese? Like putting, have you made my cottage bun? I know there's flour in that, but the cottage bun is really nice. Bowls are nice. If you're going to have the cottage cheese, why not put protein in it and some fruit? I know fruit is one of those things, but if it depends on the fruit you have. I mean, and you're allowed to have 2 servings of fruit a day, so why not have one with breakfast? But I love Kroger bowls. Or flavor your cottage cheese. Don't be eating it plain. I'm telling you, the honey cinnamon skinny syrup is so good in cottage cheese. Or making like oats and cottage cheese pancakes. I see a lot of people making those. is always a good thing. I find that they're really good. Or maybe if you're allowed to have oatmeal, I know oatmeal sometimes, depending on, if that's in your plan, a lot of things you can do with oatmeal. You could grind it into flour. You could leave it as it is. You could make oat bakes with cottage cheese. TikTok always has a lot of those. But yeah, I get the eggs. The eggs are just, I'm over eggs. I don't know what it is. I'm just so over eggs. But if you're going to have eggs, maybe try doing, like, I seem to be into the veggie hashes. I just chop up, zucchini, peppers, onions. Sometimes I put some hash browns in there, and like a breakfast sausage, and you get that all nice, all caramelized, and then you put the poached eggs on top. That's been really good. But yeah, I'm burnt out of breakfast ideas too. I love my loaves. My grits loaf is good with egg salad. I've had egg salad for breakfast. That's probably good. That sounds really good. We'll have to have a grits loaf this week, I think. The cream of wheat loaves. I mean, they all gonna have they all have carbs in them. I don't know if you're looking for low carb. Breakfast for low carbers is always eggs. I see a lot of people on low carb have eggs. Maybe trying to make an omelet versus eggs, like kind of make it where it's really fluffy and something different. Or maybe make a quiche, like an egg bake. Bake it in the oven with spinach and stuff like that. And so it's a little bit different. It's eggs, but it's a different preparation of eggs. But yeah, I'm about with you on the breakfast. Smoothies. I guess that's fruit though, but I've been enjoying protein smoothies. I put a banana, milk, and protein, and it's been really satisfying. In fact, I might have that today. And it isn't, and it's something when you eat something that you really want to eat versus what you think it's when you're satisfied, you don't tend to want more. Like, because you kind of, it's finding what you want to eat and how, and again, it's obsessing about food. It's just, you can't stop. When you find out what you want, how can I get it in the lowest possible points? And that's, it takes thought, and yeah, you might border on a little bit obsessing, but that's the way we figure things out. Looking for low point bars. Most seem to be 5 points or more. Yes, they are. Most bars are 5 points or more. But you're getting a lot of protein for those 5 points. Most of them have between 15 and 20. There isn't many that are below 5 that I could tell you off the top of my head. If they are, they're probably not tasty. But yeah, like Bear Bells are delicious. Some are 5, some are 6. They have a couple of new ones too. I always say go to like GNC is my recommendation and check out their bars. You can scan them and taste a few single ones, because sometimes you'll find one, like I found the Aloha bar in cookie dough. I think it's 5 or 6 points. But man, it tastes like cookie dough. And I don't think I would have bought a box of them. But when you get one and you try it, you're like, oh, this is pretty good. I like this. So it's always fun to go and experiment at GNC. That's my recommendation. Where you can buy single bars. Or you can go Target. Sometimes sell single bars. Your supermarket. Go in where they have the protein. There is a section, everybody's, and they sell single bars. You could go scan a few and see what you're willing to spend, and you can try one and see how much you like it. But because it honestly, to buy a box, and if you don't like it, but there's like, I know the Fiber One, there's not as much protein in there though, but they're good and they're lower in points. So you can go in, like I said, go to your regular grocery store. They have and even Target, they have a protein bar section, and you just go and scan. Though you're not going to get single bars for those, but you might be able to find ones that are low in points. And I tend, to be honest with you, I like to buy the kid bars. I don't know what it is. Kid bars are always lower in points, and they're always tasty because kids they like flavor, so I tend to try, and they're usually between 3 points and 4 points. So that's a really good tip too. Go to the kids in Target. They have they sell the kids bar. They have Kids Kind. They have a lot of different brands, and scan them, and you will see how low in points they are. And they're smaller, but they're good, and it might be for what you want. So that's what I'd recommend. Built bars are okay. They're more like candy bars. They're expensive. You don't know if you're going to like them, but you can go to certain stores like GNC, and you can maybe buy single ones. So this way you can try one. Because nobody wants to spend $25, $30 on a box of bars you know you're going to like. So that's what my recommendation is to go in GNC, scan, and see what you want to spend, and try a few different ones. Or go to your local Target. Go to the kids bar section. There's a lot. I've hauled many a kids bars here, and they're delicious. In fact, I'm eating kids meat sticks. You get 2 for $1. They're delicious. They come in pizza flavor and chicken maple. Even Peter goes, these are really good. I said, okay, now. Kids food is always good. But you can go to also, Trader Joe's has single bars you can buy in different brands, but they're usually up in at least 4 to 5, 6 points. Like I said, if you're getting that amount of protein, that's usually why it's higher in points. It's just kind of the way it is. So that is the last one. That was a lot of questions. I'm ready for my drink. Thank you so much for submitting those questions. You guys really challenged me this week. You challenge me every week. But there was a lot of questions today. So thank you so much for you who submitted the questions. I appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this video, let me know with a thumbs up. Let me know your answers to some of these questions. Like I said, you can disagree with me. You can say, D, you're full of crap. You can answer those down below. And I would love to hear your responses. And if you want to add something to something that I said, absolutely put it in the comments. I don't know everything, nor do I claim to. But I appreciate you guys, giving me these questions and this platform to answer them. So I appreciate it. And thanks for watching. If you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, join us here at Dish with D. We are a healthy lifestyle channel. We do lots of lifestyle things here, and we do weight loss as well. So, and recipes. I gotta get back to recipes. I've been slacking. I know we're it's been a busy time, but we'll get back to it. So that's it for me. I will dish with you tomorrow for my day in the life, which I am filming currently. Have a great day, my lovelies.